The Scarcity Brain by Michael Easter. We are wired to crave more. We prefer addition to subtraction. This might have helped us in our ancestral past, but in modern life, with all its abundance, it's turning us into addicts. It enables all kinds of weird behavior and it leads to suboptimal decision making. Let's dive into the problem and solution to the scarcity brain. Hi and welcome to the Booklab. I'm Björn, and this is the place where we bring you the best book recommendations when it comes to philosophy, psychology, human nature and human potential every week. So make sure to like and subscribe, and next time I put out the video it will show up in your feed. I'm really excited to read this book because, The Comfort Crisis, it was one of my favorite books for the last couple of years, so I really love this one. This is Michael Easter's follow-up to that book, Scarcity Brain, Fix Your Craving Mindset and Rewire Your Habits to Thrive with Enough. The idea behind the book is that we have evolved for scarcity. From an evolutionary perspective, we've come from a world of scarce resources. We are hardwired to want more and not to give up in our mission to get it. The problem is that we now live in a world of abundance and we have more than enough in almost every area of life. But the craving for more is still there. An evolutionary mismatch is happening. What helped us in our past is now being a hurdle, a barrier for us. And the only way to break free is to understand the issues so we can steer those desires that we have towards something that is meaningful and positive. Which brings us to the key concept of this book, which is the scarcity loop. When slot machines went from having that huge arm that you had to pull and went digital and they added the spin button, the designers, they had tapped into something powerful, something remarkable. Not only could they have more advanced reward cycles when they went digital, they could have smaller wins, they could have losses disguised as wins and much bigger jackpots. Players could also play much faster than before. The limit before was about 300 games per hour, but with new machines they could play 900 games in 1 hour. After the introduction of the digital slot machines, the amount of slot machines on the casino floor fivefold. Casino owners actually had to buy more shares because people needed to be able to sit because they played for so long. People who manufactured shares got rich, casino owners got rich, everyone got rich except for the players. Slot machine designers had tapped a very powerful chord in the human mind. They realized that things that we can do in rapid successions triggers a scarcity loop. Whether it's drinking, eating, buying, binge watching or gambling, it has three components. And the three components of the scarcity loop is one, opportunity. You have the opportunity to get something of value fast. And secondly, unpredictable rewards, like the slot machine where you can win little or you can win a lot. And also the third component is quick repeatability. Today's world is powered by products that exploit this scarcity loop, whether it's TikTok, buying on Amazon, playing Candy Crush for way too long, or get stuck in a loop where you just scroll Instagram on and on. Even YouTube, and I have the YouTube Studio app because that's what creators have there, where you can track our stats. It works almost exactly like a slot machine, and it has unpredictable rewards, like how many followers did I get, just a little waiting time used to build up excitement. This is all based on this scarcity loop. And this scarcity loop, it doesn't only apply to humans. It has been showed in experiments that laboratory animals, rats, roaches, doves, pigeons, they prefer a gambling version of getting food rather than just getting food in a very predictable way. In the experiments, the animals would pull some kind of lever appropriate to their species, I guess. I didn't get into details on that. And they could get the same amount of food with each pull of the lever. Or they can have a gamified versions where they could pull a lever, either get nothing or very little or get a lot. And these animals, just like humans do often is that they preferred the high odds games. And they did it even though it netted them less resources. Even if they got 700% more food from the boring, repeatable and regular solution, they would still do the gambling version. So how could this be? Why do we act so irrationally? Why is this loop so powerful? Well, when we expect to get a reward and we get it, then it's just nice. It's just nice to get it. Like, think of a monthly salary, for instance. It's a good example. But if we have an award that we're not sure when or if we will get it, then we get very, very excited. Think about the end of the year bonus, for instance. And why is this? Well, the explanation that Michael Easter provides is from evolutionary psychology, and it involves the search for food. In the ancient days, when we were out looking for food, we didn't know when we would find it, but we needed to stay motivated and keep searching. We went to one place, spin 1, no food. Next place, spin again, no food. And then, spin 3, jackpot. We found a place where there were both game to eat and berries, and we had struck the jackpot. The idea is that humans who could stay motivated, they would thrive and their genes would be passed on. So how does this scarcity brain hurt us? It doesn't sound so bad, but the problem is that when these ancient systems in the brain get triggered by the wrong reasons, it can get pretty messy. For instance, important progress in the world is often hard to measure, but today we love to put exact numbers on very messy metrics. Grades is a good example of this and how it can skew our incentives. When we introduced grades in school, instead of focus on learning, students focused on how to study in order to get the correct grades or the better grades, which is not the same thing as accumulating knowledge. We also have a tendency to add in all types of circumstances when subtraction is actually a very viable and good option. Quote, in the human brain, less equals bad, worse, unproductive, and more equals good, better, and productive. Having less planned activities during your vacation often leads to a more relaxing and enjoyable vacation, for instance. Turning down meeting invites will leave you more time to work on the real problems when you are at work. Yet we tend to add more into our schedules. It also reduces creativity. When we have less things and less options, we tend to be more creative. In my own work as a video game developer, the restrictions that the hardware puts on us for performance reasons, and we need to have the game run in a certain frame rate, for instance, it's those restrictions that pull out the most creative solutions out of the developers. One takeaway from this book is that we tend to substitute one scarcity loop with another. Michael Easter, he talks about when he was drinking too much and how he got out of that loop, the scarcity loop of alcoholism. And he substituted that behavior with other obsessive behaviors, like becoming a perfectionist at work and getting obsessed with fitness. I recognize that because in my 20s, I partied a lot. I just wasted my days playing video games, took in a bunch of nicotine all day, and when I got tired of that kind of lifestyle, I did something else. But I also did it quite obsessively because that's how I am. So I started to read books. I didn't just read a few books. I read 80 books in a year, started Booklab. I couldn't just read a little bit. I had to go all in. So I poured my obsessive energies into that, and also long distance running. And that's the point that Michael Easter comes to at the end of this, and it echoes a little bit of Gabor Mate's idea that all our problems are spiritual problems. And I would like to take a moment just to recommend a book about the power of us having a spiritual dimension to your life, because that's something that helped me balance all these obsessive behaviors and scarcity loops. And it doesn't have to be that you become religious. It's just by finding a purpose beyond yourself help you so much when it comes to these ideas. And I would like to recommend reading William James' book, The Varieties of Religious Experience. It's a great book that goes into what adding a spiritual dimension to your life can have huge value and a huge impact. Quote, ultimately, it's up to us to be aware when and why we are falling into the scarcity loop and look for ways to change it into an abundance loop. And that's a good question to ponder. I mean, what's your slot machine? Is it the good loop? Is it the bad loop? Is it messing up the incentives and make you focus on the wrong thing? For instance, I have a small habit of checking my YouTube stats, for instance, and it kind of screws up my incentives because I have the opportunity to get something valuable, like, oh, did I get more subscribers? It has unpredictable rewards because when I go in, I don't know if the number will have gone up, down, have it gone up a lot or a little, and it has quick repeatability. The stats update 24/7, so I can check and recheck. So it has all the components of the scarcity loop, and it also messes up my incentives because I don't share book recommendations in order to get a lot of subscribers. I share book recommendations because I want to inspire people to turn to books, love to learn more, become lifelong learners, and hopefully improve their lives because of the books that they read. And subscriber counts doesn't measure if I succeed in that mission, but the availability, having the opportunity always at hand, makes me overvalue subscribers as a metric. But now that I know what a scarcity loop is, I know that I don't have to check it, but I also know why I got the urge to do so. Now the question on your mind is probably, should I pick up Scarcity Brain? Should I buy this book? And I'm torn about this book because on the one hand, I think the concept felt unique and fresh, and it also seems very useful and practical, but that on the other hand, it feels like the book was a bit scattered and unfocused. It talks about very many different topics, but they only feel adjacent to the core topic of the scarcity brain and the scarcity loop sometimes, which make it feel unfocused. And I noticed after finishing the book that I couldn't clearly articulate and retell or recall all the key ideas from this book. And I think it's because it's tried to cover a lot of different stories that are only loosely attached to the core concept of this book. So it's a bit unfocused, but it's also thoroughly enjoyable to read. It talks about Benedictine monks who choose less in order to thrive. It talks about solitude. It talks about the rise of depression in our society. We get to meet the hunter, Sarah, that lives on barely nothing, and the idea of having gear instead of stuff. And it touches upon the spiritual dimension that we ought to have in our lives. I really enjoyed the book. I have a hard time recommending it because it wasn't that focused. It's really up to you. If this sounds interesting, then you should probably check it out. And if it sounds too vague, then maybe keep away. The conclusion of this book is that we also need a spiritual dimension in our lives. I would recommend you to read William James' book, as I said before, The Varieties of Religious Experience. I have a full review of that. You can follow the link below for that. And while you're down there, you can like and subscribe if you enjoy the content on this channel. Then when I publish something, it will pop up in your feed. And I'm actually doing a little bit of a different video. Will be coming up in a couple of days, more of a vlog thing, because sometimes I feel like, okay, I have these prepared videos where I present book recommendation. I wanted to do something that is completely off the cuff, just turning on the camera, talk about books a little bit, film a little bit around the house, and just show you my life. I just want to do something that feels unplanned and really rough around the edges. So we'll see how that goes. I've also started a really interesting book that I want to talk about very soon if I get through it. It's a thick one, but it's Robert M. Sapolsky's Determined. I got this in the mail. I started reading it. I'm immediately hooked. A Science of Life Without Free Will. So this will be a book that I will cover in a couple of weeks. And also, And this is a good one. And maybe this was why I didn't care too much for Scarcity Brain, or forgot it quite quickly, because I started to jump into Same as Ever by Morgan Housel, and that book was really something, actually. So I'm going to talk about that very soon, probably next week. No, next week is actually the rundown of the December books. So I'm doing a list of all the most exciting books that come out in December. That's next week's video. After that, Same as Ever, Determined, just a bunch of books, and then we'll get into the Christmas and end of year content. So stay tuned, happy reading, and take care. Björn out.